Everybody here is a communist. What about that one?
That's crazy because I grew up in the Deep South, and even there, I didn't know anyone that was proudly open about being a fascist. That's
Yeah.
Liberal Currents presents Half the Answer with your hosts, Caitlin M. Green and Trent R. Nelson.
Well, you know what they say. By that, I mean me. Happy days, well, they are here again, and you know that understanding a question is half of an answer, and this is half the answer. Your host, Trent R. Nelson, and of course, Caitlin M. Green as well, and you know what we both get up to. Well, I'm a historian, I'm a philosopher, and editor and a writer, and well, we do this too. And of course, Caitlin, well, she's a linguist, an editor, and a writer, liberal currents adjacent, as am I.
That's
and
right.
she's a mom, and she's a part of this thing
Allegedly.
called society. Absolutely. Well, Caitlin, you have been our eyes on the ground, our boots on the ground, our unicorn on a bike, and well, Portland continues.
I'm not riding a bike. I'm riding a unicorn.
Portland continues to be at the center of a lot of our discussions as it concerns the welfare of our society. Of course, the ICE Center there and all the protesting that you have covered. But you're not alone, are you, Caitlin? Well, you've spoken to folks
right.
like Jack before. Who do we have for us today? Who are we chatting with?
Well, I've been using my local connections and my sparkling personality to snag yet another guest who has been present at the Portland ICE protests. I am so excited to introduce Audrey Lee. Hi, Audrey. How are you?
Hi, friends. I'm good. How are you guys? Thanks for having me. Oh my God, I'm so excited.
Yes, I'm so glad we can talk in the quiet of our studios instead of out where they're making big loud noises at ICE like it was with Jack.
Yeah.
So Audrey, you are a digital nomad. You do the van life thing. You are sharing what you're seeing with anybody who wants to look and learn. Audrey can be found on Awkwardly Audrey on a lot of platforms like TikTok, YouTube. You have a Blue Sky, but you don't post on it very much. I noticed.
I know. Good investigative work. I don't.
Thank you. That's right. I'm a real reporter.
I need to. Thanks for reminding me.
So I wanted to bring you on here partly because you've put in the hours. Like you've been out there filming a lot of what you see. And when you're not filming, a lot of times you're out there just helping kind of add another body to the occupation, because that's kind of the style of protest that's being done over there at ICE at McAdam. And so before we get into the things that you've seen with your own eyeballs and also the things that you've breathed and the people that you've had to hold and help, then first I want to get into a little bit of the context and the background, some like cold, hard, objective facts that I've gathered from different reporting, and then we'll get right into what you have been experiencing. Sound good?
Absolutely.
Cool. Okay, so some of the things that I'm about to say are so outlandish and so hard to wrap your brains around that you might be tempted to believe that I am exaggerating or imagining how bad things are when it comes to immigration policy and actions around this country. So this episode is going to include the longest resources section that I have ever put together, with links to direct evidence and examples of every single thing I'm about to describe. This is a real, like, don't adjust your sets moment. This is real shit.
Right.
Okay.
This the Caitlin disclaimer.
I need you to understand. I don't think I'm that prone to exaggeration, but I just need you to know that these are like literally true facts and not things I've concocted in my wild mom brain. Okay. So the Immigration and Customs Enforcement Agency was established in 2003 as part of the United States response to the September 11th attacks. It is younger than everyone in this call. It is probably younger than most of our listeners, as is the department it is housed under, the Department of Homeland Security. Like much of the Bush administration's response to 9/11, it was very clear to a lot of people, including my 14-year-old ass, that this development was not going to be great for America, Americans, or anyone else who ended up here. We were deprived of liberty and privacy in the pursuit of safety, and predictably, we ended up worse on all of those fronts. I know that's like kind of a butchered Ben Franklin quote. He was talking about taxation, but I don't care. Okay. The point is, we gave it up and we got nothing. All we got was like worse stuff. So as of last year, ICE had about 20,000 employees and a budget of $9 billion. I already found that intolerable. I think the rest of you guys did too. And then Trump's one big beautiful bill exploded that number to $29.9 billion. So he added over $20 billion to that budget. The bill also allocated $45 billion for mass detention centers, $46.6 billion for border wall construction, and $10 billion for what is effectively a slush fund for Customs and Border Patrol. Like, it is unallocated. It is simply like reimbursement. The bill does all that while taking food and medicine away from thousands of people. So no money for you to live or take care of your family. Lots of money to throw people in jail. This did not start with Trump 2.0. Before he took office, we were detaining about 40,000 people in ICE facilities. But in 2025, our immigration policy crimes have gone into hyperdrive. We are now approaching 70,000 detainees. Trump has removed barriers that made it harder for ICE to conduct operations near sensitive areas like schools and churches, a move that has resulted in some of the more harrowing videos and stories to come out of the most targeted locations like Chicago, Portland, LA, DC areas. Last month, a California family had agents break the window of their car, which held their baby in its car seat. Last week in Chicago, a daycare worker was chased into her workplace and taken away as the children watched. At protests and court cases, you will often see children holding signs that ask for their trusted grown-ups back because they have been taken away, often violently and in front of their own faces. Trump staffer Stephen Miller set an absurd goal of detaining at least 3,000 people a day, and he has been heard screaming at DHS heads for failing to meet his quota and demanding that they snatch anybody they can find, regardless of whether they've ever committed a crime. Border Czar Tom Homan has admitted that the raids are rounding up people with no criminal record. The standards for hiring agents have been lowered. The trainings have been reduced. Also, the age cap has been moved. So now, like, I don't know, if you were like retired, now you can be part of it. Hooray. When the actions of this agency were challenged in the Supreme Court this September, specifically their dedication to racial profiling, Justice Kavanaugh, he likes beer, wrote in his concurrence that when people are stopped by ICE but are in the country legally, they are released right away with no actual negative impact. But here's a quote from ProPublica: that is far from the reality many citizens have experienced. Americans have been dragged, tackled, beaten, tased, and shot by immigration agents. They've had their necks kneeled on. They've been held outside in the rain while in their underwear. At least 3 citizens were pregnant when agents detained them. One of those women had already had the door of her home blown off while Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem watched. About 24 Americans have said they were held for more than a day without being able to phone lawyers or loved ones. And so that practice of stopping people and then totally letting them go without any fuss has come to be known as the Kavanaugh stop, because Justice Kavanaugh was describing it while speaking out of his actual asshole.
I didn't know this. This is a new fact to me. I need to write this down.
Yeah. He has a skill, and that skill is speaking out of his anus.
So
undue burden. Undue burden.
Yeah, he's like,
on the people,
yeah,
on everybody.
We talked to Madiba about this idea of like, well, it's not an undue burden. It's like, okay, you try it then. Like, you go through it and tell me it's not undue.
That's it. These not being lived experiences. You don't need to have a lived experience to have empathy, but I feel like some people do need to have a lived experience.
I think Brett Kavanaugh does. Yeah. So agents will post up outside of schools so people don't feel safe sending their kids in. One Portland area school even had to cancel a day because of this like aggressive monitoring and presence. They roam around neighborhoods in packs on foot or in unmarked vehicles. And when they see a work site, a delivery guy, anybody who looks Latino or Middle Eastern, they snap into action, running past no trespassing signs, trampling gardens, breaking doors and windows, crashing cars to tackle somebody minding their own business and drag them back to a nearby processing facility. They break bones, make threatening comments, even hold knives to people's throats. Behavior absolutely out of proportion compared to the alleged offense, which is a civil violation amounting to not having done the right bureaucratic stuff, something that would normally involve a citation, not property damage, injury, and imprisonment, and trauma. They point guns at random bystanders. They hold teens at gunpoint. This happened in Hillsborough twice in one day. They zip tie children. They keep your stuff. They leave your car abandoned on the side of the road after they cart you off. They hide their faces and badges so nobody can say who exactly did what when they're trying to get justice later. Every day at 10 a.m., Stephen Miller calls diplomats around the world to try and get them to take deportees and have people's visas revoked for crimes such as being targeted by Canary Mission or not being sad enough about Charlie Kirk. Students like Mahmoud Khalil and Rumesia Ozturk were held in jail cells for months and months for opposing the genocide of Palestinians. At the very least, and the number is definitely way higher, 170 American citizens have been detained by ICE agents because they do not care to be accurate, only to be maximally brutal. On top of that, people can be arrested by ICE for interfering. For every case ProPublica has been able to check into, the charges had to be dropped. I'm sorry, nearly every case, not all of them. The charges had to be dropped or the cases dismissed. Many of them were just filming the people tackling and kidnapping their loved ones, like the 79-year-old guy whose neck they kneeled on, then held for 12 hours without medical attention despite broken ribs and a heart condition. Or last week, just outside of Portland, when a U.S. citizen was detained for 7 hours for taking photos of ICE agents' cars. They surrounded her in her car, broke the window, and dragged her out. They can hold you up for up to 2 days without charges. The bizarre attacks have been so outlandish and so frequently that you might have even forgotten the time they tackled Senator Alex Padilla for asking Kristi Noem to answer questions during a press conference. They pushed him to the ground and handcuffed him in the hallway. I remember, you remember, Pepperidge Farm remembers. For the people at the top, this is a fun game and also an ego-boosting exercise. Kristi Noem turned ICE operations into influencer content, bringing with her camera crews, other influencers, and celebrities whose stars are threatening to fade. She brought Dr. Phil on a raid. She welcomed that guy who played Superman who wanted to join ICE. No, not the main Superman. No, not the other one. No, the less famous one.
Like the
Dean Cain.
Thinking of. Yeah, Dean Cain.
Who knows?
As far as I know, no, the one from the TV show.
There's so many.
I joke, but I was a huge fan of that show when I was a kid. I'm so mad.
Damn it.
I know. My mom saw him at a mall doing like a signing or something and had him call my cell phone and leave me a message, and I like treasured that cell phone.
Your mom is such a
like,
good wing woman. Oh my god.
I know. Right?
She shot her shot.
Shout out, Mom.
Like, call my teenage daughter. I don't know. Anyway, that's in the past. We hate Dean Cain now.
Wait, so you have his number. You have his number. You can call him and we can talk about this right now.
No, he used my mom's phone to call me. It's not. Yeah,
damn it.
No, it's no good. Anyway, Border Patrol Chief Gregory Bovino likes to do photo shoots in his 1930s era Germany-inspired long coats and questionable haircuts. He's the coolest, man. He's so cool. He's like not a Nazi at all, everybody. Once in detention, people's civil rights and human rights are being violated. Agents shuttle their victims across state lines before their families or lawyers can figure out where they are, before judges can stop them. Many of the facilities are over capacity. The Broadview facility in the Chicago area was revealed to be unsanitary and degrading. Detainees are deprived of their right to an attorney, coerced into signing papers relinquishing their rights, packed in 7 to a single capacity cell, forced to sleep on filth-covered floors, deprived of showers, soap, or hygiene products, verbally harassed by guards whenever they ask for anything. The South Florida Detention Center, which has been nicknamed Alligator Alcatraz, has been ordered shut down, but the process keeps getting tied up in court cases. So to this day, that camp is operational. The government is playing weird games with the funding to try to claim that federal detention standards shouldn't apply to the detainees in there. They're stacked on top of each other in bunk beds crammed into cages. The cages are in a tent. In the summer, it is hot in there, dangerously hot. There is no plumbing. They've been reduced to drinking from the toilet. When it rains, the tents flood. They are underfed. They are under attack from mosquitoes. The medical neglect alleged in every facility is especially dangerous to detainees who are older, disabled, or pregnant. And it's still not cruel enough for this administration. Many of the ICE offices across the country are seeing their top officers replaced with Border Patrol officers. And that is an agency with an even worse record of human rights violations than what ICE has. So with all these cruel and unusual attacks on the lives of the people in this country, it's no surprise that people are holding protests at the facilities that enable these abuses. And with it, a lot of propaganda, innuendo, and criticism of the reasons people are doing it, the ways they're doing it, the types of people doing it. So we thought, as a companion piece to our Freedom Chicken episode, we would talk to Audrey, somebody who has been documenting these events at the Portland ICE facility in the form of live streaming. And you've been doing some stuff, some analysis, some investigation. It's been really fun to watch you work. So
just dilly-dallying.
Just hanging out. Yeah. So Audrey, how did you come to the Portland facility in the first place?
Hi. Well, you've already introduced me, but yeah, my name is Audrey. I've been a full-time nomad for about 3 years now, and just kind of dilly-dally my way across the country. Canada, just got back from Alaska, just doing my thing and hoping to serve communities along the way, like big and small. Usually it's small. Portland is one of those towns I kept coming back to. I'm from Florida originally, so definitely not from this area. But it's one of those places that kind of gets a hold of you. And that happened a few years ago and kind of keep coming back and back. And I was coming through. I was going to be here for a few days. And like everyone else, my content, like my social media was not showing me civilian POVs. Like I was getting that curated kind of look, those news articles and things. Because unfortunately, like with social media, if you don't know what you don't know. And so until you start consuming that kind of content, you don't see it. And I didn't know what was going on in Portland from a civilian POV. I was getting these little clips of, hey, it's war-torn city, it's burned into the ground. And I'm like, I just saw it in January. Like, what the hell happened? Like, what
did you guys do?
I'm like, where did it go wrong? And so I was like, I'm going to be coming through. I'll be here for a few days. Like, I'm going to stop in because I'm so nosy. I don't know if it's like stupidity or curiosity, but I just went straight down to ICE in the middle of the night. I was like, I'm here. I'm just going to drive straight to it. We're going to see what's happening. And I was like, holy shit. This was not what I've been seeing on social media. Now, of course, I'm seeing it because my social media is nothing but it now. And yeah, and I stayed. It was supposed to be maybe a week or two. And that was the beginning of October. And I'm going to stay through until early December, and then I'll be back. So yeah, Portland. I think I've like earned my place, hopefully, as like a Portland resident at this point.
I think so. So. We have a similar experience.
God.
So like before I moved here, I came on a road trip with my family, in my 20s, mid 20s. And I just thought it was so cool and fun. And my husband did too. And we were like, I think we should try to figure out how we can live here soon. And we did. We figured it out. From the Bay Area, California.
Okay. And then what about you, Trent?
I'm originally from Long Island, New York, but I have lived in Vegas and I've lived down in Georgia, and now I'm in the capital of Illinois, Springfield.
Stop. So both of you have experience living in more diverse, larger spaces than Portland. And I feel like that kind of lends and same. So I feel like because of that experience, you can love this space a lot differently than folks that either have lived in a city or maybe they're not city folks, because I get a lot of like Portland hate all the time. And
Right.
that's understandable. I'm like, I'm from a town people might hate. Like we all like different things. But the way people hate Portland seems very unique to me. Like it's so personal.
I think it's
It really
detached. Much like New York City, it's like
Yes.
this is the picture that has been painted. And if you
It's
haven't been there,
mythologized.
if you haven't been there, then you're not going to know that it's all nonsense. And
Yes.
you know, like when I went to Portland a few times, the thing that has always struck me is that it reminds me of this town in Long Island called Huntington, where it is a lot of
I'm gonna write it
trees.
down.
A
Okay.
lot of trees, like beautiful sort of um communal atmosphere, you know.
Yeah.
And it's like a small big city,
Yeah.
you know. And I think that, you know, it's an easy target because not everyone finds themselves going to Portland. So
Right.
it's easy to paint it as this, as you noted, Caitlin, this sort of mythologically like insane place, whereby, yeah, that's our bad people now, right? They all live in Portland, they all live in New York City, they all live here.
Right.
Now it's very simple for us.
Yeah.
It's
What?
easy to treat us like aliens, like, or like
Right.
zoo creatures.
Yeah.
Like, no, we're just
It,
people who live in a city.
it very much is. And when I see like so much hate or I hear so much hate, and then I look around at the vast amount of people that live here and that love Portland and have been here for generations, I'm like, if you don't like a place, that's okay. Just don't go there. It doesn't mean you shouldn't want it to exist. Like other people live there and they love it, and it's a thriving place. It has its issues. Like I feel like folks, when you say you love a place, they automatically hear you saying that place has no issues. It's wonderful. It's perfect. And your town sucks. And I'm like,
Right.
I don't know how to make that feel less personal. I'm like, Portland has its issues. Every town does, big or small. And I don't know how to address them and I don't know how to fix them, but it doesn't negate the fact that it also has redeeming qualities. And people get so pissed about that. And then they'll say, my town doesn't have any crime. And we go on like this big
That's
loop.
not true. That's
Not
never true.
I'm like, give me the town, because that's my wheelhouse.
Yeah,
I want to
tell me
look
the
at it
name.
and I want to go there
Right.
personally and I want to infiltrate. Because if you don't have crime in your town, like let's talk about that, because it just means it's being covered up. So, yeah,
It almost sounds like you were offering to provide the crime. You're like,
I was.
you didn't even
If I
town. I'll
need
go in
to,
there and I'll do it.
let me stimulate your crime economy.
I'll break a couple windows for you because it's weird that you don't have any.
I know a thing or two about.
So
Gosh.
Audrey, you saw all of the nonsense on social media, and so you went to Portland and you drove right to the ICE facility. Well, what are some of the things that you have been seeing?
It a lot. So that first impression was kind of everyone's first impression, especially if you come in the middle of the night. It is overwhelming. It's overstimulating. There's a lot of sound, there's a lot of sights, there's a lot of different folks and moving parts. And, you know, it's just this organism that is down there, and there's layers of things happening. There's guys in tactical gear. They're, you know, you're being pepperballed. And so that initial first impression, I was like, holy shit, this is insanity. Like I was not seeing this and not experiencing it. And then it kind of changed into this purpose, because once I realized there was just this deep sadness within the community as they're just trying to occupy, trying to exercise their constitutional rights, and then being traumatized by those in uniform, it just kind of gave me this call to purpose to kind of share it. Because if I wasn't seeing it, then I know others weren't seeing it. And the more people we can get down there seeing it and showing it, the bigger this, you know, can get. And the you know, there's strength in numbers in that. And I'm not going to like save the world as one person. There's so many people down there streaming and occupying. And the more people we can get to do that, like everyone is so individually important in this as far as like keeping eyes on it. So some of those things I have my notes here. So some of those things, the biggest one for me is departure from oath. And so before I got on the road, my field was crime scene investigation, and more specifically violent crime and death investigation. And so taking an oath, honoring your city, being a humanitarian, having a heart of service, being a public servant through and through is something that I take great pride in and I'll never depart from. And so seeing folks in uniform at the federal level, not that you could expect that from any level, like, I expect, volunteer beach cleanup to operate, effectively and serve their community to the fullest standard. But
Right.
especially on that federal level where we're holding these people to a higher standard, seeing them traumatizing and brutalizing a community of people, a lot of times, including very vulnerable populations, has been extremely disheartening. It has been just a layered experience. One, identifying what's happening on US soil that shouldn't happen anywhere, but happening right here in like the land of the free, the home of the brave. We all took that oath every morning, and we would like pledge of allegiance. And so seeing this departure from oath and just morals in general, like your moral compass is awry, and knowing that that's happening in a city that I really, really enjoy, and it's happening nationwide in other cities, and that these towns are continuing to function because a lot of them don't realize, like I'll go around Portland during the day after being out there all night, and I'm like, these people have no idea that their community members are so brutalized overnight. And then nationwide, we don't know that either, that our community members are just continually traumatized.
Yeah.
So I've seen
I think that's a really interesting like comparison to say, like, we have this couple of block area where the ICE facility is, where all of this stuff is happening to people, and people are putting their bodies on the line, and they're experiencing this like fear and emotional trauma. And like just a few blocks away, you would have no idea that it was happening. And similarly, the ICE activity is very focused in certain cities in America. And if you don't live near those cities, you also might not have any idea that, like, Portland, Gresham, and Hillsborough are overrun with agents who are just trying to find people to snatch. The Chicago area is covered in agents, DC area, LA area. But if you don't live there, like, you're not likely to actually know firsthand what's happening.
Yeah. And you might not realize that influence, right? Because it's far reaching. Like it's happening right here, but it's far reaching in a lot of ways. Like they're taking community members out of, communities much further than this. They're influencing our market, they're influencing production. Like there's the far reaching feel, but it's no one's fault for not realizing what's happening, and not, showing up in the ways that they can. And so I think that's why, like, folks being out there is so important, because maybe we can help it reach just a little farther, like one more town, one more person, and kind of keep that influence. And maybe eventually enough of us will know that we can start really saying, like, enough is enough. Like we've, this, we can't ignore it any longer.
So Hillsborough has done a state of emergency now, where they've actually released funds to help people cope with the impacts of the ICE incursion. So hopefully more towns can do that kind of thing. I don't think Hillsborough is like particularly unique in that way, but yeah, they just had a city hall meeting like last week, I think, where they talked about that.
I mean, part of our issue, and this whole sort of discussion sort of alludes to it, that we can have these centers of pain and suffering, and then like a couple blocks over, it not even be registering to people that this is happening.
Just
and
business as usual.
In a more communal society, in a society in which, and I'll paraphrase Howard Beale from Network, where we all say, "Let me have my toaster and my TV and my steel-belted radials, and I won't say anything. Just leave us alone." Right? Each individual is just trying to cope with the stresses of their lives, such that we've sort of disconnected from the fact that, like, if we don't have a healthy society, we are all bound to suffer. If we are allowing some people to be picked on in our society, it's only a matter of time until it's us as well. And that sense of community, you see it, I think, also when we talk about like the loneliness epidemic. I don't know if it's as much a male loneliness epidemic as it is like
just
a human loneliness epidemic, right? Like, we don't even want to go to the grocery store and like talk to the checkout person. Like we want to just go through the computer. I mean, and you can consider that throughout human history, it's difficult to imagine that individuals could exist within a society without having to communicate with each other.
Mhm.
It's difficult to conceive of this, and yet we've reached that point, and I just don't know if we're going to survive it. Not to be a doomer for a second, but we
Yeah.
need to
No,
start.
Trent, we're going to.
We
That's
need
a
to
good
start
point.
we need to start caring about
Mhm.
what's going on in the next corridor, what's going on in
That's
the
a good
next town
point.
over. You know,
Mhm. Yeah, I didn't consider that before. Thanks for giving me that food for thought. I didn't consider how it's kind of blowing my mind. Thanks for that. I didn't consider how our society has kind of set us up to be fundamentally disconnected from one another, so that when these larger historical things happen to us, we can kind of compartmentalize that and pack that away. Like, that's somebody else's issue.
Mhm.
I don't have a connection to it. It doesn't influence like
Right.
my life. It doesn't impede
right.
anything. I didn't consider how we've kind of been programmed to this point to kind of accept, that disconnect. Wow.
Yeah. But
It's
not you, because you are momming the hell out of that location. Like, honestly.
I'm nosy. I'm morbidly curious. I love the trauma, apparently.
Apparently, you're looking for
They
it.
hate to see me
It's
coming.
it's so interesting also the way people are managing the emotional tone of that space, where it's a party for as much of the time as we can make it be a party, right? There's like
Mhm.
music, there's costumes, there's dancing, there's always somebody with food trying to offer food around. Like,
It's been a
I've been
problem for
fed so
me.
many different times. I know it's bad because somebody will come by with like a big bag of like fresh hot KFC and be
Damn
like, here,
it.
you want a
Yes.
wing? And I'm like, geez, I
I
mean, yeah,
mean,
I
I
do.
do.
Like, I already ate dinner, but
Yes.
yeah, I do want that wing.
I have accepted so much food from so many strangers. Like, all the stuff you learn about as a kid, I've done it. Like, I've gone to
Like,
strangers'
don't accept.
vans.
Yeah.
I've eaten out of strangers' hands. I've shared
Mhm.
food. I've shared drink, all of the things. I'm like, we are one organism now, guys. Like, we are
Has
bonded.
become, yeah.
I love
But
that.
then what happens when the agents come out of the building, if somebody's got a PA or speakers, they usually will say, like, agents are coming out. If you have PPE, put it on, like, step back, get on a sidewalk. Like, there's a lot of like safety management happening from the guy who was literally just playing like, some crazy remix of a song about the Antifa frog or whatever, right? Or like the Trump is in the Epstein files song, whatever. And then he'll just pause that and be like, okay, time to like watch out for your safety because you are now all of a sudden in danger.
I
Right.
love that. My nervous system doesn't have a chance down there. Like, my
No,
bowels
it's
have
so
never
bad.
been more activated. It is such a stressful and chaotic situation.
but again, like, this is sort of the threat that is perceived by these agents, is that while the rest of the community is sort of disparate and isolated, here are these people all coming together, all feeding each other, all watering each other, all working as one organism. That is the frightening thing from that perspective. That is the thing that
100%.
we can't allow to happen. We need to keep blasting that Portland is like a hellhole where you'll get your car burnt out,
Right.
because if people think that we're the baddies, well, man, they might come down here and go to other places and make a big fuss and wear
Yeah.
unicorn outfits and be
Yes,
chicken men.
yeah. See, this is what I say
What do
too.
you have? You have a mouse one, right?
Me? Oh yeah, I have
You're
a mouse and a cat, and I just got a frog the other
right.
day. Like, I'm elevated now, guys.
Aw.
Like, it's happened. Unstoppable. Yeah, I mouse and I just mime some folks, some key figures down there to break up the tension when local is down there agitating. I'll just start miming them. It's a microaggression that I really love.
It's really good. She's just out there like mimicking one of these like officers as they move
Fun.
around in her big inflatable like mouse costume, just being like, "Oh, I'm over here now.
Taking
I'm
it very
checking things
seriously,
out."
taking
So fun. Yeah, I'm so
But
important.
and the thing that I say too, Trent, is the same thing, is that I'll kind of reiterate it all the time, that our government historically has wanted us to look like you against me, us against them, left versus right. They've always wanted to keep us kind of like in that lock of being against something, against one another, because they know that once we stop seeing that, we start looking up, down, and we start realizing that like the power of the people collectively can be greater than the people in power. Like, we have that ability. But the second majority of us learn that is when they lose that control. And I think that's what you're seeing, like the isolated incident here is like the community coming together and showing their strengths, even through trauma, is resistance, and it's powerful. And I know that that's uncomfortable for people because these folks down there can endure it, and they keep showing like, we'll just keep adapting and we'll keep getting weirder and we'll stay, the course. And I'm sure that's infuriating for some people down there.
Yeah. Right. Also, like, no one person can be down there at all times, but there's kind of always somebody there. And that is so wonderful to me, because I really think it's so important for these agencies to understand that they are watched, and that like there are eyes on them, and that we see what they are doing. I think there's like a real power in that psychologically.
I do too. I think there's a power in it, just a single person. A lot of folks will discredit, like when I go on live, if they don't see, miles deep of people, they're like, aha, we're winning. Got you guys. Antifa shut down. Losing momentum. It's just the most wild shit. And they fail to realize, like,
and it's never true.
Never.
There's an ebb and flow. Like,
I'm like, it's a human experience. It's not going to be balls deep on a Wednesday afternoon. I don't know how to tell you that. But they also fail to realize, like, the strength of one person being there occupying. Like, one singular person is powerful message that it will not be forgotten. And like, you fail to realize that a million people, 2 DJs, tons of food is a great message, but one singular person, out there just watching sends just as powerful, if not more powerful, of a message as well.
Yeah. And sort of every week there's another group that I had never seen there before that's like, well, we were free right now, so we came down, right? Like the aerobics group that was just there. Or they were there in their spandex, and and like the clergy group. And so there's just all these little groups that are like, well, we got ourselves together, we figured out when we were free, and we thought we'd just show up. And that's kind of the power of it too, is you can create all these stories about, oh, well, they're being funded by like whoever, Soros or whatever, right? And like they're being organized by Antifa, like Rose City Antifa or the far left or whatever. And it's like, actually, no. Everybody has a problem with what is happening down here. And when they have a minute, they come see and they come help.
Right. Yeah, because they can't imagine. I feel like a lot of folks can't imagine, one, that you would do something like this on your free time, for you, that you wouldn't be paid to do it. Like, these are folks that have never done like a good deed out of the kindness of their heart. I feel like there has to be some incentive. And I'm like, the incentive here is the Constitution. I don't know what more of a incentive you need. Like, look at what's happening. And so I think it's those folks that are like, you're paid to be there. You don't have enough time on your hands. Like, shouldn't you be doing something else with your life? I'm like, no. I can't think of something more important than showing up for my country in a way that is like this. Like, and plus, some folks just don't want to be part of like history, I guess. I'm like, how cool is it that we're in a country that we can be part of these things?
In so doing, right, in believing that their abstention leaves them scot-free, in fact, they have made a choice. And
they are part of history.
They are part of history, right? Everyone is a part of history. You have to choose which part, and that is an active.
There's that sentence in the history book that is like, some people stayed home and didn't fight the fascist overtake.
I love that for them.
Right. It's you either make an active choice or a passive choice, and you get remembered for each in turn, right? And that is keeping that torch alive, as you noted, Audrey. Even one individual ensuring that the torch of we keep looking, it continues to burn. That is powerful, and that is what places like Portland, like Chicago, that's what they're showing. That resistance is not a viral video. It's a consistent, everyday thing. Each one of us.
Yeah, resistance.
I am I am most often there at the non-party times, like, a Tuesday morning at 9:00 in the morning, where like literally it might just be me and the Portland immigrant rights coalition people. But I'm there and I'm like just hanging out and like watching the gates because I want to see it, right? And like I've had people like drive by me and roll down their window to be like, nobody cares what you're doing here. And I'm like, well, you do.
What the hell?
You just talk to me.
Yeah, the universe doesn't put me in those positions. I don't know why.
It was very funny to me because I was like, well,
what?
I mean, like, first of all, that was the day that I dropped off fully like 50 small stuffed animals for the kids that have appointments. And so I was like, well, a bunch of kids have a new boy, so they care about that. Like, it's not nobody. At least there's that.
I just can't imagine the audacity of some of these folks, excuse me, to like have those interactions with people. I have no idea what that is like to show up. Like, I can't imagine like coming to your house and being like, don't you have something better to do? Like, I just don't. Somebody else exercising their free will has never concerned me, and
has never been a problem for you. Yeah, weird.
Why it bothers people. But Trent, like you were saying, circling back, you were saying that you make a choice like passively or actively, and there was that quote, and I don't remember how it went, about how history remembers those folks on the wrong side of history. Like, it's not favorable. It's never honorable. And so I kind of like, I quote that like all the time as well. Like, I'd rather be on the right side of history and quote unquote lose, because people say like, you think this is doing anything? I'd rather stand here and live with regret or live with the failure of not completing this, like not seeing it through, not showing up for a community, than live with the regret of not at least trying. And I feel like that concept like falls short for some people.
Do you remember that carnival game where you put the little tokens into the machine and it shoots them out towards the edge?
The quarter game.
Yeah, and when they all fall, you get tickets, right? That's sort of how history is as well. Everyone is like pushing, and it seems like it's not doing anything. It seems like it's taking forever, and then like all of a sudden, all the quarters fall, and like things are happening, and all of that stuff that we were working towards was actually always coming towards this moment. We just can't perceive it like the movement of the earth itself, right? We are moving, yet we don't idealize, we don't see it every moment of the day. This is a part of, I think, the process. And you know, again, we can't forget, just because we get everything right away, we can get the burrito taxi delivered to us at any moment, right? Like Netflix,
not the burrito taxi.
You know, right? You know, like we can get any
taxi. Do I need to know?
Uber. You know, it was a taxi, a private taxi for your burrito.
Stop! I didn't think of that. I've never considered that my sushi has a little taxi when I deliver.
That's right.
Yes, you know,
you called it a taxi, and now it is riding to you.
Right, just because democracy isn't like that milkshake at 1 a.m. does not mean that we are not putting in work. That work is not required, that all of our work is for naught. And like you said, it gets remembered. You see pictures of folks, you know, at Little Rock, you know, all these years later, during school desegregation, and you see like the people who are mad as hell, and you're sick to your stomach because you say, damn, like that was 70 years ago, right? That wasn't very long ago. That was people that are living.
Don't you kind of want to be the people who are making those people mad as hell? Like, doesn't that kind of nice?
Yes.
Be like, I'm part of the reason you're so upset.
I love that. It fuels me. I go to bed at night, like rubbing my feet together like a cricket, just so happy with myself. Like, I mean, I'm just the way they think that I stay awake crying myself to sleep when I am giggling under the covers, like so pleased with myself for making some fascist mad today. Like, I love that. I love that for them.
And they get real bad.
Real bad.
So naughty.
Okay, so you were not here in June, right? Because you were here before that, and then after that,
I'm kind of newer to the scene.
June was interesting because there was a no Kings then, and there was an ICE protest that like came after on the same day, where things escalated in a kind of a scary way. where it was large numbers, it was hard to control, and that was like the day that the Trump administration is using mostly, right? The examples from that day for reasons why the National Guard should come in. It is November. Like, it is not June. There was like one bad day that was pretty much managed by the local police, that didn't ever repeat really, and was fully fixed by that weekend. And that is supposed to be like their reason why we need the National Guard. Meanwhile, you've been there for the last month and a half. You've been watching, and I don't know, I wonder if you can give us like a sense, even on the very worst days, like what are the kinds of things that you have seen, days like the 18th of October or the 25th of October, that were like really tough for us?
Yeah, there are some really, really tough ones. When I came in, it was October 1st. So that's when I got that impression of there's a community need here. One, just community support in general, right? I don't have like some special service that's going to like fix all this overnight, but you can help support people that are enduring it because they're clearly weathered and clearly going through things and adapting under these insane circumstances. And so the first like big incident that happened to me that I would consider a catastrophic incident was October 12th. Actually, it was before No Kings. And I was there. That was when I just had like a bandana and I was like, supporting the community. Like maybe you get pepperballed sometimes. And that was when they deployed like non-lethal, like quote unquote non-lethals for the first time in my presence. And that was tear gas and flashbangs and rubber bullets, very spontaneously in the middle of the night. And I was there with a lot of minors. There was a lot of kids there that night occupying. There's a good presence of various ages, but there's a lot of young kids from the community that show up. And that was the night I had posted that video later on, or an audio of that interaction, where I was tear gassed, like without any sort of preventable or like protection, along with the community who was unprepared. And that was the night where I saved this kid as I'm like running with him. We're trying to get him out. And had experienced this trauma, and it comes in waves. Like they always do, like waves of it. It seems like they thin you out that first time, and then it comes back again, and then you'll kind of see who's left standing hours later. And so that night I would consider kind of like a radicalization. Like that's where I saw things like very clearly. Okay, this is what they've been enduring. At first I couldn't really get like, where is the anger, where is the disconnect, like from both sides. And then it totally made sense. Okay, this is a possibility. Like this is on the table as something you'll endure. And that's when I like saw the community in a totally different way. Like that's when I saw like the civilian medics come into play, and I saw the organization from that side that had always been there, but now they were kind of in action. And I saw them like rendering first aid. They got me a respirator. Like if you're going to stay and endure it, they're going to make sure you're doing so the safest way possible. So they're rendering first aid, because in those situations, ICE isn't going to tell you how to prepare yourself for this. They're not going to tell you how to recover from it. The local isn't going to do anything either, and 911 is not going to respond. And so it's all on the civilians. I saw like youth driving adults to the hospital and things like that. And so I endured that, and that only made me come back stronger, because I didn't get any sleep that night, like 24 hours no sleep, definitely PTSD. Came back the next day. Same people are there, all hollow-eyed. We all look like we have now been radicalized. Yeah. And so I remember talking to the guys on the line. You radicalized individuals last night. Like you are fulfilling the agenda that you are opposed to. Like you're encouraging the behavior, right? So whereas I was like, oh, I'm going to stay here a week, I remember experiencing that. And in the middle of it, seeing these kids screaming, like, I can't breathe. Why are they doing this? And realizing like, I'm not going anywhere for a while. Like I'm going to stay here. And that's your fault. Like you did that, like you did this to a community and to people that are just visiting. And that's going to be a problem for you, because now I'm not going to shut up about it.
Now Audrey's going to be a problem for you.
A problem. And
well,
so I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, these are the lessons that a prescient and reasonable society could have learned 20 years ago, 25 years ago, 30 years ago, 50 years ago. When you commit violence against people who are trying to survive atrocities, you create more of the people whom you detest. You create
Yes.
more people who dislike Israel, or dislike the United States, or dislike this, or dislike
Yeah.
that, and it's because you are behaving poorly. And do you think, Audrey, this is a question concerning sort of everything we've touched on? Do you think that there is, to some degree, do you think that it's hard for lots of the American public maybe to conceive of their government like doing the things that you are saying to people who aren't bad?
Yes.
You know,
Because I think they've grown up in this like chamber of bad people experience bad things. Maybe they've never experienced a trauma as an innocent person. Maybe, they have, and they've just like considered themselves a bad person inherently, whatever that is. Or maybe they just can't think broader than themselves. Maybe they don't have empathy. I talk about that all the time. Like, I feel like empathy might be one of those things you have to be born with, it seems like, because some people just lack it. And I'm like, is this not a developable skill? Like, can you not empathize with people?
I
Like,
feel
I
you
didn't
must
know.
be able to learn it. They just haven't.
They just haven't had that safe space. Like, what's happening? And so I wonder, because even being down there, so having experienced that like on the 12th, and then I'll get to like No Kings, experiencing that on the 12th and sharing that content, it brought so many people, like, because it's just an audio of this horrible situation. And everyone in the world should be able to hear a mom in shock, helping a kid who's saying, things like, it shouldn't be this bad, and we're just holding each other. I don't know him. Now I do. Like, now I for sure know him. But, hearing strangers coming together to help each other in an extremely violent situation on U.S. soil, some people will still have the audacity to say, what were you doing wrong? You guys must have done something. You shouldn't be there.
Right.
Negating the fact that you're traumatized individuals, and one of them is a kid. He's 20, he's still a child. So one of them is a young adult who is now radicalized, and it made me so disappointed. And it's the same as like what you were saying, even for me, like being like law enforcement adjacent, working in investigative capacity, it made me so damn disappointed, because now this kid is going to have this impression of law enforcement for the rest of his life. And he's a young man. This is a vulnerable population that we need to do better with. And so now this young boy is going to have this internalized anger and distrust. Yes, rightfully so, right? But it doesn't mean that it should be happening. He deserves to grow up in a better society and to be represented and known that he's protected by men in uniform, because maybe he could have grown up to be the change that, these policies need to see. But now he's radicalized. Now he has this impression that he will be victimized and brutalized on the federal level, because he has, and you're never going to be able to change that now. And I hate that. I feel like that's such a disservice to the community and to minors, and then also to myself, because I realized that night I'll never fully trust being in that field again, like in that capacity of investigative work. And that's such a disservice, because I spent my life working towards that. It was my pride and joy. It was everything that I had meant to do in the world. And now I won't be able to comfortably represent an agency, because that is also all I will see. And I don't ever want a community to see me in a uniform and be like, you're one of them. I don't want that. And I know at my core, I'm not that person. I work in a different capacity, but everyone will be lumped together, because that's how I see it. And I have seen the other side of that field. So yeah, I feel like people do have this misunderstanding that bad things, traumatic things are happening to good people out there just trying to exercise their constitutional rights.
Yeah. So I have noticed, and I think you have noticed this too, that one of the ways that they kind of get away with this is by being unclear about what you're allowed to do and what you're not allowed to do, and also like changing it a lot. So like, where you can stand has been very unclear, I feel, because like, I went down there and I see there's the building, there's like sidewalks on either side. There's a lot that's sort of like gravel across the street. And then down the street, there's this like trolley station that's not in use. And the trolley station looks like public property. But but it's not. And so then like you might feel like you can stand on it, and then they'll come and grab you because you actually are not allowed to.
Mm-hmm. There's also not miscommunication, just outright injustice of who can access the space.
Right.
Because you'll have counter protesters that can comfortably step up on the pillars in front of ICE, clearly over boundaries, wave at them, interact with them, get their pictures. You'll have certain folks that are allowed to cross certain barriers. And then you'll have folks that aren't even allowed to stand on a public sidewalk that they've been told they can stand on. Right. And then they'll get pepperballed for following that order. It's a very definitely a balanced enforcement of regulation down there.
Yeah, you've seen that with your own eyes. It happens very frequently. And as we all know, selective enforcement of rules is discrimination, and they're not allowed to do that. And yet here they go doing it. The other night, or the other afternoon, I guess, they put up this notice on the building, and it's on like an 11 by 17 piece of paper, and it's like crammed with tiny text, and they put it in a place where like nobody can see what that text reads. And if you walked up to it to read it, you'd be on their property, and then like get you. But it has a bunch of rules on it, right? That like you're supposed to, and they're not intuitive either.
No. And I kind of heckled them a little bit that we like defunded NASA, so we can't even use like the telescope to see the rules that they've put it up there.
It's like the only way we'd have any hope.
I was like, get NASA on the line right now. And somebody's like, yeah, we defunded them. I'm like, damn, we have no ability. We have no ability. So yeah, they came out that day and passed out in the rain, like 2 little pieces of paper to the crowd. They just got dispersed. You're like, read it amongst yourselves.
They're gone.
And then I was like, what? And so I got a picture of it. You can't find that document online anywhere, mind you. So I got a picture of it.
He said, I heard him say with my own ears that it was going to be on the website. It's not on the website.
It's on the website, like in the longest format humanly possible. So I have it. Hold on. I have it printed. It's about 75 pages. I've been studying this bad boy. That's why I have my notes on. Yeah, so I have it printed. He was like, tell all your friends. I'm like, for the 100th time, I'm not the leader of Antifa.
We don't tell your friends is so funny. Like you're one gang, right? Like we're all,
That's what happens to me all the time. I'm like, it's never gonna happen, boys. I'm never gonna be like, okay, let me go round them up. I'm like, it's not gonna. It's not a thing.
Good thing I have all their emails. Like, what do you mean?
What am I supposed to do? I don't even know these people.
In the van.
Yeah.
I don't know anyone's real names. Like a lot of these people I never see again. Right. Like I don't know what you're talking about. But yeah.
Oh, and there was a QR code. He was like, well, just scan it. And it's like half of the people here don't have their phones on them because they're freaked out by you guys like taking data off of them.
Yes.
Secondly, you never scan a QR code that you don't know what it's for.
No.
It's really easy to put up a scam website QR code and just print it out and slap it on top of the official one. And then everybody's getting their data harvested or their money stolen or whatever.
Yeah. When they brought out that list, they brought out the 2 forms. Then they went around the building and they put up a tiny QR code all around the building. It must have been like 4 or 5 of them. No other signs around, just a random QR code. I was like,
here's a QR code.
I'm going to go to a federal building and scan a random QR code. Like, you've lost your mind. And he was like,
do you think I'm stupid? Yeah.
He's like, why wouldn't you scan it? I'm like, are you doing that? And he was like, yeah, I scan random QR codes. I was like, as a federal agent, like, are you choosing to be like naive right now? Or, like, don't on a federal agent, probably on your work phone. Like
everybody listening right now, please understand that it will be very easy to phish any federal officer you want to. Simply print out a QR code. We'll apparently scan it. Enjoy your crimes, everybody.
This one specifically.
Oh, right.
I was like,
unbelievable.
What? You think he's unique? I think this is not just him.
Boys, this is the best of the best. And then I'm thinking, are you one of the 50% that failed that open book test? Because it probably in there it said, do not scan any QR codes with a work phone. Like, don't do it.
I bet you that's in their training. That's in like our training as teachers. Like it's definitely in theirs.
This is just common knowledge at this point.
Common knowledge. Yeah. I did scan a QR code downtown Portland one time because I love the randomness of Portland, and I did scan one outside of Voodoo Donuts. It was like Chad, you
Audrey.
cheating asshole. Like, I finally have the pictures. It was a dispensary.
You're like, I want to see.
I did. Like, if you have beef with somebody, it's my beef. And I'm such a girl's girl. I was like, let me see those pictures. Like, I'll wreck him.
Yeah, I want to see what this monster did.
It was just a dispensary.
They got you. They tricked you.
Rick
See,
Rollman.
don't
Yeah.
scan random
Don't
QR
ever
codes.
do that. That's
Don't
probably
do
what
it.
the one on
Right.
the building leads to as well. So don't do that.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about these rules a little bit because they are really difficult to understand. And I'm going to just bias all the listeners right now with my feelings, which is that they feel designed to make it really hard to protest and really hard to document what is happening. Like they are so complicated and also so broad that like it makes you feel like I don't know if I'm even allowed to be here at this point.
Right.
And I feel like that's not an accident, right?
Right. Exactly. And I feel like we talked about when they first came out how gray they are. The verbiage is very concerning. And I spoke to an officer because it seemed like local was also like they came over and they're like, the hell is this small sign? And I was like, what are you guys gonna do about that? And they're like, we're local. I was like, oh, sorry. And
Right.
false alarm.
The firewall between them is so strong because they're like, I don't know what they're up to. I don't want to know what they're up to. Please don't tell me anything about them.
Yes. Yes. I feel like ICE is here and they're like snitches, and then local is like we're like we want to know what you're doing to tell any, but we don't actually want to know.
Yeah.
Like
because the ICE agents call the local police all the time to be like, I don't like what's happening over there.
And then local won't answer the phone, and it will send them storming out of the building so mad,
They're
down
so
onto
mad.
the street to tell local, like, answer your phone. We've been calling you guys. You're not picking up. And I'm like, it feels like your parents fighting, and you're just standing there.
It's
like,
a very dysfunctional relationship.
It's very, very. I didn't know there was such a disconnect. And local's just standing there, like, and all that happened because some kids are shining a flashlight at the building. And local wouldn't do anything to help.
Which is in there somewhere. It's in the rules somewhere about
now it is.
Don't do that.
No.
Yeah. Okay, so what's the deal? Let's see. Let's start with masks and face coverings.
Yes.
What are the rules for if you're down there? What can you and can't you do?
My interpretation, so keep in mind this is like just my loose interpretation of this, is that we noticed right before, like leading up to it, like week or two before this, like rules and regulations came out, that local was also starting to enforce local law. Like you saw folks, like not being reckless, like maniacs, but you saw like some jaywalking, you saw some of those like smaller infraction kind of things. Local has been really enforcing those. Like the noise ordinance came out at 10. They've been keeping people on the sidewalks. You can't stand off the sidewalk. So they've been kind of enforcing those things, and now these rules and regulations have kind of come into play as well. And so it's my interpretation that they're looking for you committing those local crimes, while also violating one of these rules and regulations, is what other folks were kind of saying too. Like if you're jaywalking while wearing a mask, they're going to get you, kind of thing. If you're wearing an inflatable and like littering, like I think they're looking for those combinations, but that's also just my interpretation. That seems like what the buildup was going to.
Right. Okay. Yeah, it looks like they decided to become extreme sticklers about those like small scale things, right? And I've seen it since basically since October 25th, where like if you've got your heel just off of the curb, they'll come up to you and be like, you can't be doing that. And you're like, I had no idea.
Right. Like, well, now I know. And like somebody was sitting on the curb with their feet, like sitting, and they were like skedaddle. And I'm like, what in the hell? Or even when like counter protesters are there in mass in the street, hassling people on the sidewalk, they'll come and push everybody onto the sidewalk because you can't be in the road, and they'll just like condense the situation instead of helping diffuse it. So
the night of October 25th, that was one of them, because there was a huge number of counter protesters present. They went over to what we were calling camp, which is essentially the supply table of like rescue inhalers and respirators and masks and food and water and stuff was all kind of there. And they all came into there. They it was about like half and half, counter protesters and regular protesters. And then the local Portland police brought their bikes and they like lined them up, right? And they penned people in onto the sidewalk. And that was like a real powder keg situation.
Yeah.
So were you across the street at the time when that happened? You were
Kind of
there.
kind of going back and forth. So like leading up, if folks, do you want me to explain what camp is?
Yeah, we can talk about what that.
You did kind of good job. Or do you want to hit it at the end?
Thank you. Yeah.
So
camp, mostly supply tables, a couple of cots, and like chairs.
So camp, like primarily, medical supplies, because when you're tear gassed, you need to be decontaminated. You need to have access to respirators and things like that. And so it was a lot of like community support. There's some unsheltered folks in that population as well. And so that was some of their necessities too. And so on the 25th, that kind of, it depleted that supply on No King's Day, so on the 18th, and got resupplied through donations from the community and things. And so on the 25th, that space became an even more vulnerable kind of space. There was right before that, camp had kind of had to like move around and got some city ordinance to like clean up. And so it was more organized and they were making that effort and things, but counter protesters really wanted to, in my understanding, have more like unbridled access to the space. And it's a vulnerable space because it has medical supplies that the community needs. And so they weren't as, willing to let certain folks just be in there, even though it is a public space. So it reached that kind of pitch of like, this is a public space, I should have access to it. But then there's also spaces in there that we don't want you to have access to. And they kind of like pushed their way through and ended up kind of like infiltrating that camp space, taking the resources and stealing them, bringing them to their own camp and distributing them, or like their own folks distributing them. Then they vandalized and contaminated the rest of camp. So the next day, the city came and just did a biohazard sweep and took everything. And so the community moving forward, when they are under attack by officers and they experience those traumas, they don't have a way of helping themselves in the community as a whole, which is putting people in a really vulnerable space. And the folks that took those supplies don't come to help when the community is experiencing that attack. And so that's how, camp was kind of dismantled. It's definitely reconfigured now. And I've kind of said before, like those traumas, just like any other trauma in our life, kind of like shape us for coming back even stronger. While horrible and maybe, completely unnecessary, at least you can kind of regroup and figure out like where we went wrong, where we can strengthen, and what we can do better, moving forward. So it feels like that's where they're at now. Because now it won't be as vulnerable. It's not on the sidewalk, as easily accessible to people with nefarious intentions. You can regroup and kind of like get rid of things you didn't need and keep those supplies that you do need that are going to best serve you. That's what happened to camp. It was a pretty violent and very disheartening situation to witness. I was kind of going back and forth. I got into camp. I would go like from that point and then back across the street and then like circle back to kind of come up to keep an eye on stuff. And I did ask for like local assistance during that time, of no assistance. They wanted me to identify who the leader of Antifa was. Again, boys, I didn't know there was like a riddle to help me solve crime.
Well, how could you when it's you? You're the leader of Antifa, right?
I'm not going to self-incriminate. I was like, what is happening right now? And so I posted that video. I'm sure they love that as well. They were going down to where it was actively being taken to. And I was like, hey boys, we have a crime. And they were like, absolutely not. And turned around. I'm like, what in the hell is happening?
Yeah. Cause there were like dudes carrying plastic tubs of like rescue inhalers and bandages and stuff, just like running down away from the camp. And it's like, this is clearly a theft that is occurring. Like it has all the hallmarks of a theft. Yeah. And so you were like, hey, excuse me, officer, like that guy's running away with our stuff. And they're like, so who's in charge of all of this?
I'm like, not this again. Like, I didn't know I have to do like this 2-factor password reset. So like,
right.
What?
Yeah. What's the name of your first dog? Like what was your favorite vegetable when you were growing up? Like, I don't know.
I don't know.
Like, can you just help?
That's how I
So
feel.
the answer was no.
Password reset.
Yeah.
But yeah.
The leader of Antifa has been right here the whole time.
Not Antifa.
Right?
It's just in your heart. Yeah.
I
You had
didn't.
it all along.
When I
Each one of us.
I thought, I was like, it's a co-op. I don't know.
Literally. Yeah.
I was like, oh my God.
I know it feels really organized because there's a table, but like really.
I mean, what? I'm like, are you kidding me right now?
Yeah.
Like,
I was so mad because I had just dropped off like 3 pallets of water bottles and a box of hand warmers. And I was like, now Ryan Amacher is running off with it. Like, he's not even going to drink it. He's probably just going to pee in it. Like, why?
No. And they will. And they
So,
will.
And they will and they do. What was he doing? He was cutting up inflatable costumes and he was like putting maple syrup on it.
And like, then somebody was saying like dough pee and stuff, and just boys being boys. I don't know. If I don't understand it, it directly intimidates me, and I have to like vandalize it. Like it's
pee on it. You have to pee on it.
It's like a kid who you didn't invite over, and so they're just gonna break your shit because now they have the ball and you're not allowed. Like it's just this very immature like.
That sounds like the behavior of like a dog.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Like I'm not familiar with this. I better pee all over it. Like that is not how we function in society, thankfully.
Right. Yeah. Let me destroy
There is a strong vibe of like the worst kid at your school who's like, my mom says you have to play with me. Right. Yes. Where it's like, that's not how it works. You are being a jerk.
Yeah.
We're actually allowed to say no.
Yes. How dare you? Yeah, I learned that the other night too, that you can't tell them that either. I just learned so much about society as a whole these days. But yeah, that's what it was. So it made that kind of a biohazard. And it was raining at the time as well. And so camp was relocated. So it was soggy. And then it got, attacked, got vandalized, got stolen. And so all night folks went through and kind of saved what they could. And then the next day, the city was like, "This is a biohazard," and took everything. So,
did they take this stuff? Yeah, did they take this stuff to the Antifa safe house? Is that what it was? You know the one,
probably. Yeah, it's actually a tunnel. There's a tunnel, like a manhole cover right there. You go down and up. That's why you never see anybody going anywhere. Yeah,
I didn't know about the tunnel.
We actually take the train.
You guys are Ninja Turtles. The whole train that goes through the abandoned trolley station.
They're having Vietnam flashbacks.
We're in the trenches, guys.
Yeah, honestly.
So what an absolute mess that was. But it definitely hit like the morale for sure, understandably, after anything. And then that side of things, like the counter-protesters posted like a picture of themselves, like a collection, like a thing, in front of the storage unit, not in front of the ICE facility, celebrating how they
because if they had gone down to the ICE facility, then Tommy couldn't have been there because he's not allowed to come within 200 feet.
Yeah, of his like place of worship. And so I don't know why he doesn't get that on like a religious standpoint. Like he could argue religion because he worships it like it's church. But I'm not his lawyer. But they did celebrate that they successfully dismantled Antifa that night by destroying the camp. So I don't know if you guys.
Yeah, it was a real mission accomplished moment.
We're no more. Yeah, we're all fascists now because they took away the inflatables. That was
That's the duality of Antifa, is that they are both omniscient and everyone is paid, and yet also disorganized enough that it can be destroyed by getting rid of the medical supplies. So
that's right. And then they were gone.
Finally, somebody.
What was so funny too? So the next day was like a Sunday morning, and it was rainy. And I remember like a couple of those counter protesters were like gloating because they were like, "Antifa is no more. There's not a single protester." And I watched. It was like Nick Sorter or somebody else who was filming himself, being like, "Everybody's gone," and you can tell by the way he's filming that he's consciously avoiding the corner that's across the street because there was a whole like tent full of people right there.
Hey Nick, where are his shoelaces? I don't. I don't understand.
Where are his shoelaces? He's got some weird shoes on.
This is a mystery to me. That needs to be a priority. We have to actually make that a priority at the next.
We gotta figure out Nick's shoes. We have to figure out his weird stance. Why does he stand like that? And why are his shoes?
Yeah, and where do we? What happened to the laces? I think he said he lost them when he was arrested, but it's not been a priority to get those redone. It's not I don't care.
It's very easy to
not just like stepping out of them. Right, they have them at the drugstore. Like just go.
Overnight them, put them in the taxi, the shoelace taxi, and bring them.
The shoelace taxi can take care of it for you.
Right, you pay. You send the burrito. Tell them to pick up shoelaces on the way.
Honestly,
it's an add-on.
They will do it.
Yeah. They do.
You can send them to CVS or Walgreens or whatever. Like they'll do that. The DoorDash people.
But anyway, yeah. So that was that. That's how that's how it was dismantled. That's how an ideology was changed overnight. By the way,
yeah, it happened. Okay, so you're telling me that everybody there is like super cool and stuff, but sometimes I see people dressed in all black, and they have like big backpacks on, and the backpacks have like a red cross on them, and I think that's probably threatening. What's going on with that? Those scary people.
That is just me and my goth phase. It wasn't a phase, Mom. I am still down there and all about. Thank you.
I'm a medic.
Mom. The way I surprised my parents by going into death investigation, I was like, see, I told you it wasn't a phase. It was a special interest. You guys were concerned for no reason. So like you were saying, I do say that it is majority peaceful, but I do want to touch on the fact that it is 100% not all. I know that like the counter-protesters want to say like, oh, it's extreme violent community and all of this stuff. There's shit on each side against one another. Like they fight amongst themselves over there. Folks fight against, amongst themselves over here. Right. There's arrests, there's issues, there's constantly, but there is only one particular like type of person, caliber of person that shows up to intentionally intimidate, cause violence, cause chaos, disrupt. Like for the record, like, yes, there is issues on every side, but only one comes there with the goal of causing harm to other people.
Right.
So circling back to Black Bloc, that's who that is that you see down there. It's called Black Bloc. And those are the folks in all black that have medical supplies. So those are those ones that are going to respond when there's times of crisis. They're just civilian medics that some have experience, some don't, some, might be veterans, might not be. Some have just adapted to this particular situation and serve the community in the ways that they can. And so they'll be the ones that come in to do eye flush, decontamination, help you with respiratory issues like first aid rendering, and get you to where you need to be, or to get you the help that you need, and kind of run around during that time and put themselves right there on the front line of things. And they definitely endure a lot. They get targeted, it seems like a lot more. You can definitely see, this is one of the frustrating things with the interactions with officers, is you can see where there's like personal history or there's stigma that takes place, and they'll lead with that. And so they'll lead with a hostility or animosity toward folks that resemble Black Bloc, or to folks that resemble Antifa, or anyone that they see as like opposition, they treat as such, which is frustrating because I feel like we can do a lot more if we just like put that down a little bit. But you'll see them. Yeah. You'll see like armed agents, like fully tactical gear, blow kisses at you, give you heart hands, shake their mace in like a phallic way at you. They
do that a lot, actually. Like they hold it down by their waist and they do like they shake it like that to make it look.
Yeah, and they'll point at you while they do it. Yeah, which is real fucking disheartening. And so you'll get like that targeted. It's microaggression, but it's a macro level. Like that is sending a message to people, and they know that
I mean, the smallest aggression becomes macro when the person is heavily armed who's doing it.
Yeah, and when this is bias protection right now, and that if I step out of line, that person who was just giving me everything, like pointing at me and doing a phallic gesture, that person will be in charge of me when I am detained. It sends a level of fear through the community.
This is a classic case of with great power comes great responsibility. And you cannot be hiring and trying to hire, as Caitlin alluded to earlier, as reports have mentioned, where we're diminishing the standards by which we have. We're going to get stuff like this. We're going to get real cretins behaving absolutely atrociously. and unfortunately, they are being supervised by a nanny which
Mhm.
supports this type of behavior. So you're
Yeah.
not going to get pushback. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
as Caitlin often notes, violence within the society is monopolized by the state, right?
Mhm.
And this is
I
a
do often note
problem.
that.
You do, and this is a problem in our best days, right?
Mhm.
This is a problem when we have enforcement agencies that are like trying, right? We have a Justice Department that is like censuring certain agencies to do better, right? We
Mhm.
have that in our best of days. In our worst of days, there is no recourse because, the fox is shaking his mace at the chickens.
Mhm.
And, who's there to stop the foxes? They've been put in charge of the hen
Yeah.
house.
That's exactly it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pointing and laughing and yeah, it's all
Sipping hard
and
hands, and yeah, I've heard like a woman crying on the front line, like expressing her concerns, and an agent mock crying her in
yeah.
response.
Mm,
That is disheartening. That's exactly what they're doing. And I'm like, and that kind of thing,
horrifying.
like you were saying, shit rolls downhill. That is coming from uphill. If that policy, whatever they have, is not enforced, that behavior is not reprimanded, those little micro things aren't addressed and addressed swiftly, that's where we
Mhm.
see the degrade that we're seeing now, where they can traumatize
Yeah.
communities and get away with it, and they can step over all kinds of boundaries, not just policy, but moral and ethical boundaries
Right.
are being crossed.
Yeah. And when you get somebody who does step a little bit out of line and the agents come out to grab them, it sometimes it's like 4 or 5 agents sitting on one guy's body. And it's like,
Mhm.
is that necessary? Is that really like all you needed to do was issue a citation to this person? You did
Right.
not need to tackle them
Yeah.
because they
Speak.
put their foot over the blue line that you painted on
Right.
the sidewalk side of the driveway.
Yeah, and I
Like,
don't know, like, I don't know what it was like at the dawn of time, like in, years ago when they started occupying the space. I don't know what it was like, months ago when they started. Like, but it seems like there's not even the chance of like clear communication, like just meeting the community where they are and talking, like, hey guys, we know this is frustrating. It sucks. I also hate my job. I hate that you guys have to do this. Like, can we work something out? Like, I'm exhausted
right,
from being a turd all the time. But I'm
right.
like, it would probably go so far if you could just continually communicate with them as human
Yeah.
beings instead of brutalizing them. But then you'll
But they could never show that vulnerability, right?
You you
Right.
you can't humanize the people that you've been brutalizing because
Mhm.
then that opens up the idea that perhaps we've been hurting innocent people for this
That's
whole
true.
time.
That's true, Trent.
They are trapped by themselves, by the
Mhm.
standard that they have set. They are trapped just as we are trapped when we have a high standard and we have to meet it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
This is the same thing.
Good
Uh,
observation.
they're enslaved to their poor morals,
Yeah.
and they are making an active choice, right?
Mhm.
Some who stayed probably made a passive choice, but many are making active choices to be part of the Gestapo, and
Mhm.
um, their day
So
will come.
you
Mhm.
have stood face to face with officers and you've explained to them in very clear terms that they have an option, which is to stop breaking their oath and stop serving a government that is oppressing people and stealing people and keeping them in cages. And you've seen into their eyes while you're explaining this to them. So, what do you see when you look in their eyes?
Um, a lot of them are just already dead inside. I hate saying that because there's so much more to life than brutalizing communities, right? Um, but a lot of them are vacant. A lot of them are
Mhm.
despondent. A lot of them are checked out. A lot of them have already just left, like they're not here. And I don't know if that's how they always have been, or if this is also part of their experience, right? Because I like to think that they maybe have gotten into a field to protect and to serve, and then they were sold something as well. And maybe it's their
Mhm.
identity and it's generational and it's cultural and they don't know how to get out of it. And so now they're just going to die in it. And maybe they recognize too that they're a low person on this ladder as well, that they're just a cog in the government machine, padding the pockets of billionaires as well. And they're just going to be the villains that fall with it, right? Like they're the ones we see fulfilling this policy that's put into place. they're the ones on the front line that are going to take the biggest hit from it. So maybe that weight, maybe none of it at all. Maybe they love it. And they're just good at like masking, you know,
they're also getting paychecks.
That's exactly it.
And that becomes a part of it is, well, I have to support my family. And this is another horrifying economic time to live, right? Yep. And so there's all of this self-interest and economic self-interest coming into play as well.
Yeah, there's so much to it. So it's like, I don't know that they are obtainable in that situation where you're on the line. I know that if I step off this curb, you're going to absolutely tackle the hell out of me without any warning. So you have this microsecond of time to like, I'll just walk the line and see and try to see one person that maybe I could see into, like maybe one person that will look at me, because most of them won't look at you. And so I'll try to find the one that like will look at you and just let them know like they have to stand there and take it regardless, right? Like maybe you are tuning it out. But a lot of it, just like we say, like with the growth in things and the process of like showing up and the progress that you're making, a lot of it is also self-serving. I have to see some human moment and human connection in the very villains that I cannot stand to get myself through. Like I have to give myself some microdose of hope to keep coming back and to keep doing it. And so they have to just sit there and get their mom lecture. And I'm hoping that somewhere in there, it like hits someone. I'll post some of that stuff like sometimes, and I do it like very cautiously because I don't want anyone to think like, oh, you're lying to them, you're humanizing them, like you think you can reach them. Like I'm not a messiah, I'm just one person. But I also believe in different tactics. You know, like we have to try something, and we have seen agencies. I've kind of shared their content as well, or agents rather. I've seen agents be on both sides. I've seen them take their oath and step out from their oath of that, like just wearing their badge, and fulfill their oath by serving their community as someone on the front lines of protest. And so it's like, it is possible. It is such a rarity, but it is possible. And hopefully in like sharing that vulnerability, it maybe doesn't inspire the agent I'm talking to, but maybe it inspires someone else, you know,
somebody.
Or someone, you know, I hope so.
Yeah. And this has been a part of it forever. There have always been people trying to guilt and shame Nazis into realizing that they're doing terrible things to people.
Yeah. And even if you fail to like get them to change sides or whatever, it's also valuable to show like, listen, we did our level best to reach them on the level of humanity, and they refused. So let's take that threat seriously.
Yes.
Yeah. And I'm not going to depart who I am. Like a lot of folks will say like, you're not angry enough. I'm like, babes, I'm angry. Like I'm sacrificing a lot of my life. Like I promise you I'm angry. But I know that we will never be angrier than them, right? We'll never be stronger than them. We'll never be more powerful than in this capacity. We're not going to out anger them. Like that's not going to happen. I could scream at them all day and they will still come out on top. They are set to win. Right. They are set to win. And so we have to reach them through every means possible. And sometimes kindness is that violence, right? And so I like to hope that like, and two, like you can't lead with anger your whole life. Like you just can't. Like you're gonna burn out. And I'm like, that's
and you'll forget to take care of the people who are targeted. Like that's the most important thing is to take care of each other.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, so to wrap up, I thought it would be fun to play a little game that I am calling Bad Faith Question Corner. One of the things that I love that you do when you're on your live stream is people will comment stupid, mean spirited stuff. And like most of the time your answer is so good because you're basically just like, oh, I'm not really sure what you mean by that. Could you elaborate? And that's my favorite because they like never can, right? But I thought
naive,
Classic
I thought
Socrates
we could run through some of the things that you will say when somebody gives you some like ridiculous. So I'm just gonna like give a couple examples.
Trent's first impression. Trent, have you ever seen a live?
I have.
Oh no. Okay, you have. Okay.
Okay, so let's start with everybody here is unemployed. What do you say to that?
No, I just married someone out of my league and they support all of my special interests. And this is one of them.
That's why we're the same.
I'll say that sometimes. I'll say I make passive income, and it's also, I don't know, 11 o'clock on a Saturday night. What are you doing right now?
Yeah, why are people posting at 11 p.m. on a Saturday like, oh, why isn't anyone at their job? It's 11 p.m. on a Saturday.
Because it's 11 p.m. on a Saturday. It's 7 p.m.
We're
on a
doing our
Wednesday.
recreation.
I'm doing something with my free will. I didn't know I had to check in with you. You're also on TikTok harassing me right now. What are you doing?
Correct.
This is when the Oregonian chimes into my live and like watches. This is why they've never interviewed
Right
me.
when you're like, yeah. The Oregonian will watch your lives, and so yeah, sometimes it's exactly when you're in the middle of letting somebody have it, but that's okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that was good. Let's see. Everybody here is a communist. What about that one?
That's crazy because I grew up in the Deep South, and even there, I didn't know anyone that was proudly open about being a fascist. That's what I was.
Yeah.
And I also love too when they call me like Antifa. I was like, I think it's cute that from a 50-yard line you can tell I'm a good person. Like you can tell.
That's so nice. Thank you for the compliment. Yeah,
I love that. Thank you.
How about hey, stop bothering ICE. They're cleaning up our towns.
Well, usually I'll try to like pivot this to an educational component, and I'll be like, tell me what you love about this facility, and also can you tell me how many, like you specifically love ICE, but there's 5 to 8 agencies in that building. So you only love ICE. Like you don't like the Department of Homeland Security. You don't like private transport. Like I'll try to like break down like how many agencies are in there and how overlapping and dysfunctional their policies are together. Like what is it specifically? And so then when they start doing that, I'm like, hold on, boys. We have one in here who loves a guy in uniform. And then I'll zoom in on ICE. And I'll be like, get a screenshot. Like, I know how much you love this. Like, I'll try to like, I'm like, we got something in here fetishizing.
Do you love this one specifically? Do you want me to try to get his number?
Yes. And then like, if it's my friend, like in there, I'll like try to ask them like, hey, my friend Cindy's single. Like, I'll just really get going. Like, I'll just go for so long until they block me.
Yes.
Poor Cindy. Okay, good. Right, how about, hey, what do you think you're actually changing by standing out there?
The reason I woke up today, specifically, I got up today and I was like, you know what I'm going to do with my day? I'm going to piss off this one person. And here I am doing that. Like, so I'm going to leave now.
Mission accomplished.
Thank you so much. And then if I feel like I can meet them like in a better space, I'll kind of touch on like historical moments that have taken place because of people occupying or protesting. I'll touch on things like, even if I don't agree with someone's values, like I talked about how the KKK pushed, in Jordanburg versus Ohio, pushed to have hate speech identified. So we can speak more freely about things we don't like. So I'll speak on things like, hey, I might not align with your values, but what you did as a political movement benefits the greater good. And so maybe if you can look at it through this lens, like we're occupying for human rights, and those rights also include your rights, and it includes the Constitution, which applies to you as well. So I try to like bridge that gap of like, this isn't a MAGA issue. This isn't like a conservative, liberal, whatever issue. One of the 50 political parties on the ballot this last like election, this isn't about that. It's about like our collective rights. But a lot of times they don't give me the space to like be informative. So I have to just be snarky.
But you have brought up things like OSHA being the result of occupations and like food safety and like, there's a lot of things that we enjoy today that make our lives more livable that were achieved through the same kind of actions.
With like one person having this harebrained idea of like, hey, I think we could do better than this. And then they told somebody else and they told somebody else. And then I picture them all getting out there to organize and then being met with a bunch of haters, like pulling up and being like, you think this is going to change anything?
Always.
So silly.
Historically, like you were saying, historically, there have been both sides. And thankfully for that side, it only ignites this side. Like you hating only makes me show up more.
Yeah. Like we are the utopian building animal. We dream of things that are not, and we create them. And all of the things that we're enjoying, I mean, a young Trent once lamented to his mother, God, I wish I could see dad, and then just 20 years later, we got like video cameras, phones where we could like talk to and like see our like, right? And so we do this all the time. And
Yeah.
that's always, I think, why I'm a bit cynical when you hear people say, like, oh, that's impossible. You mean like flying? You mean like
Thank you.
going under the water? You mean like creating
Yes.
a society in which everyone lives together well? You mean
Yes.
like
Yeah.
all of these
How
things?
about we try it? How about we try it?
What we have to lose is greater than that. Like what we have to
Yeah.
gain is wonderful, but what we have to lose is more significant. Yeah, and
By
I think
not doing it. Yeah.
and I've thought about that, and I've asked people like because they'll like come in with this crazy like Antifa slander stuff, and I'm like, I have never in my life known anyone that used the word anti-fascist as a negative. Like to me, that's like saying like giving you a compliment and weaponizing it. That does not make sense to me. Like even being raised in like the rural South, like I can't imagine someone not calling me anti-fascist. Like, yes, thank you for noticing one inherently great thing about it. That's wonderful news. But down there, they like weaponize it so much. And I ask them, like, when they come in, because they'll never say it to my face, but I'll ask them when they come in, like, what is inherently appealing about fascism to you? Why does it feel like a good thing? And then we'll kind of like dissect because they never will respond. And so we'll dissect like what makes someone more comfortable with fascism. And I think it's that fear of the unknown, like this grandiose ideas, free thinking, self-identity. And I'm like, I wasn't raised like that. And even if I was, my little brain as a kid knew like we can think of abstract things and we can make them happen. And if it didn't happen the first time, we're going to keep trying again. And if you have a collection of really great people pushing for the same effort, then it is going to be possible. Like, but I feel like those folks that identify as fascists or see anti-fascism as a negative thing, maybe they've never been in that capacity of like safely exploring abstract and thinking outside of themselves.
And just living life a little differently in a way that, doesn't hurt other people, even if it's something you don't recognize or that doesn't look normal. Like, you don't have to be upset about it. It's okay. It's okay for other people to be different from you.
Well, there is something I think attractive about the idea of fascism for certain people, although you rarely, in my experience, hear people be like, oh, yes, I am a fascist, right? Like, but I think there is something appealing to a certain type of person who sees like homogeneity as being attractive for a society, right? And so like if we're told how we are and we don't have to think about those things, like that just leaves us more cohesive, right? Because like there's nobody arguing about if I'm a man or a lady or any of these things, and there's no one arguing about this or that or the other thing, right? Like so we just get
How
to
I should
talk
be
about
dressed, whether I can have a job.
right.
Yeah,
Right.
it's easy.
The government has already settled all of this.
Yeah.
Like I am going to wear like the clothes that represent a man, right?
This
And
is my haircut. And
right.
yeah. It's the decision.
I'm going to marry one of these 4 options of people. Like nothing outside of this box.
Yeah. And that's what you experience down there. You experience very proud fascists. And it is startling to me because it's folks from out of town. This isn't their city half the time. They're out of state, out of town. And I'm like, where the hell? And they kind of embody it on every level. Like you'll be on the sidewalk making art, out of chalk in front of, the ICE facility, minding your business. And they'll come by and like splash water over it and throw shit at you. You'll put something up on public property, which in the rules and regulations is allowed to happen. They'll come down and rip it down. It's like they embody it so proudly.
They're just stomping sandcastles.
I don't get the appeal. Yeah, I don't get it.
Well, that's why we're here and they're there. Okay, I'm going to do one last one, but then I'm going to take it myself because I'm sick of hearing it. And it's when people get mad at you about how your voice sounds and they're like, oh, your voice is so annoying. Well, I am a linguist, right? I have a PhD in linguistics, and I'm here to tell every single one of them that there is something about the way you speak that is so much more annoying than whatever Audrey's doing. And the reason I know that, no, the way that you speak, what's happening is that they're taking their attitudes about women, they're taking their misogyny, and they are fooling themselves into thinking that they're objecting to a specific language feature. But the fact is that these features are arbitrary. They are developed socially. We find over our lives that certain types of people do some of these patterns more often than others. And if we have a problem with that type of person, then we suddenly discover that we have a problem with that linguistic feature. That is ass backwards. You don't get to define certain linguistic features as objectively bad, annoying, or weird. It is because you had a problem with that group of people. It is
I
not
love
because you had a
that.
problem with the feature.
So they
Your
hate me
voice
as a
is fine and
person, not
perfect.
my voice.
Yes.
I
They
love
are
that.
misogynistic is what they are. Yeah, they don't like that you're female. And they wish that you would shut up because
They
you are female
do.
and you should shut up.
Isn't
It is
it
not
crazy?
because of any feature of your voice. Yeah.
I'm
Your
like,
voice is fine, Audrey.
what do they want me to
Yeah.
do about it? Like, just shut up. Okay,
Go.
so
They
one-
want you to
Correct.
go away. They
one
want you
size
to go
fits all.
away.
But it's easier
Yes.
for them to go away. They can swipe out. It's my page. Like, get out of here. Like, if you think
Right.
I
No,
give a
they came
shit,
into your living room and were like, I don't like how you decorated this. Like, okay,
what
go home then.
happens. That's what
But-
happens. Ah.
But this really touches on, as Caitlin is sort of alluding to, right? Like the actual prime motive, which is like, we don't want you to exercise your voice in any space.
Exactly.
We don't want you exercising your voice in the public. We don't want you exercising it on our page. We don't want you exercising it on your page. We don't really think you should have a page.
Mhm.
And it's because your voice is annoying, not because we have a problem with women saying things.
Just my
Yeah.
voice. And that's how it is every single day. Every single day. And
This-
they'll come in with the craziest shit about like, oh, I bet you're this way, I bet you're that way. And I was like, and I always say, like, it would probably surprise you that I am not, that we might have more in common than you want to admit. Like, and I go down the list of things. And like, you just picked one low-hanging fruit, because you never get to see, half the time they don't get to see me. That's the thing. Sometimes I will
because
flip
you've got the camera pointed out. Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
sometimes I will flip the camera and I'll say, what gives you the impression that this type of woman will ever take advice from a stranger on the internet? Like,
Yeah.
what are you doing right now? Like, what are you doing
But I'm
right
going
now?
to change things about myself to make you happy.
No woman in society should do that. And I'm definitely not one of them. So I think you should see my face as I tell you. And then I will say some like offensive things. I can't even tell you, because you guys are such angels. I don't even want to say like what I've been saying, but I'll say some really offensive things and I want them to see my face when I say it. Because I'm like, if you hate my voice, you're going to hate my face. Like, get a good look.
Get ready.
Why are people like that? I'll never, and I try to say, I'll say, you know, I want you to have varying opinions. I want us to be of varying backgrounds, various beliefs, genders, or races. Like, I want us to be as varied as humanly possible, because that enriches community and enriches my community on live. Like, that is what makes us stronger, is our diversity. And they were like, yeah, but you know, free speech is free until I say something you don't like. Yes, because it's like coming into my house and saying something offensive,
right,
and me telling you to leave. It's no different.
Yeah, that's right. They'll come into your comments and they'll be like, ICE is the best, Trump 2028. And then be like, are you going to let me stay in your comments, or are you going to kick me out because you like censorship? It's like, that's not the same thing.
Actually not. It's not the thing. Yeah. I'm like, okay, I can tell this isn't going to be a battle of wits. Like, this isn't, okay, I'll just help you find the door.
It never is. It never is a battle of wits. Bad faith begets good faith from us.
Yeah. Thank you for the audit, for one, at my voice. I appreciate that. Now I'm going to replay that. I'm going to save it to my other phone and then play it when they say your voice sucks. Well, actually, let me tell you.
I talked to a linguist and she said you're awful.
An absolute turd.
Yeah. You go ahead and you say that. You can use my credential to defend your own voice, because there's nothing wrong with it.
I spoke to Caitlin about you specifically. And
she's not very high on you.
That you're a turd. Yeah, she doesn't think you rock at all.
That's one of the things I'll say too. Like, okay, worse has been said about people that I love, or like, I've never wanted to trade places with people that don't like me. It's okay. You're allowed to have your opinion, and they hate that too. Like,
because you refuse to get bothered by it, right? So you're just like, okay,
I've got bigger things to be bothered about, like the breakdown of our Constitution. I don't care about some random person's opinion.
Yeah, there's nothing in your comments that could be worse than the things that you're seeing outside, like on the other side of your phone.
Yeah,
in front of your human face.
Yeah, and that's what I'll say too, because a lot of them would like dox and stalk and get crazy, and I'm like, I'm not intimidated by these guys in person. So the fact that you come in here with the audacity to think that you're going to influence my like way of life. Like, oh, okay, I'm going to leave town because you didn't want me here, or I'm going to leave town because you got some extremist idea of what people should be doing in their free time. Like the audacity, like never ceases to amaze me. That is my takeaway of that experience for sure. I didn't know. I thought sharing the experience with people, it is primarily very like fulfilling and beneficial, but I didn't realize like or anticipate how much like hate would come with it. And I guess it's just part of the game now. Like I know I time it.
Yeah.
I'll say the time as soon as I hit live. I'm like, okay, it's 6:49. And then I'll time how fast like the first like hate comment. And usually it's within 5 minutes. And they just don't stop. I'm like, okay, I don't know. At least some of them
it's sort of it's the death rattles of the fascist ideology because they can't actually defend it, so they just have to yell at you for some reason.
I love that for them. Well, at least we're keeping them busy. They'll stay here on my live, and they won't be out there like causing a ruckus in communities. Like, it's a service.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Stay on your couch. Yell at Audrey. That's great. It's better than what you would be doing otherwise.
I'll keep them busy. I'll be the distraction. Yeah. So,
thank you for indulging in my silly game and for explaining to us what you have seen and heard out there in the field. And I hope that, you keep your spirits up and stay safe out there. And hopefully I'll see you out there again a couple times.
I hope so. I'm going to be here until the beginning of December, and then I'll be back in January.
Awesome.
So make sure you get out there. I want to see you guys.
Thank you, Audrey.
Right, you got to get out there.
I'll get out there. I'll come. I'll go to one of the many food truck parking lots, and then I'll head over to the ice facility.
That's the first thing I do when I come into Portland. I go right to the damn food pod. Like, what's happening?
It's too good. That's why.
It's too good.
That's going to keep me here. Yeah. Thank you guys
Portland
so much.
rules. Ice rules. Audrey's the best. Follow her. And we will see you guys next time on Half the Answer, where understanding questions have the answer.
Thank you, friends. You guys are so good.
Thanks,
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Audrey.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to Half the Answer, presented by Liberal Currents. You can find Half the Answer anywhere you get your podcasts. Liberal Currents is an entirely listener and subscriber-funded publication, which includes programs like Half the Answer and Neon Liberalism. So, if you like what you've heard and wish to contribute, you may do so at liberalcurrents.com and through Patreon. And remember, understanding a question is half the answer.